Hi, I'm Dana, and since I was diagnosed as autistic back in 2019, I've fairly consistently had the moments where I'm just in the middle of going about my daily life and doing my normal thing, and I'm like, oh, this is an autism thing. Like, sure, it's part of me, it's part of my personality, but it's part of me and my personality because I'm autistic. And it's one of those things that I find really interesting and fascinating, and I think it's quite cool. I feel like at some point I did, and I know that a bunch of you guys do from comments have that sort of like spiral feeling of like, oh my god, it's nothing's actually me, all of it's the autism. And I might make an entire video about that at some point, to be fair, but I'm very much just like, well, yeah, like of course half my personality is autism, I'm autistic. Like, I don't see them as the same thing, but I also don't see them as super separate. But anyway, the first one prompted this entire video because I have an event that I'm going to coming up on Sunday. I'm going to like a fun little like queer poetry book launch, and I'm really excited about it, don't get me wrong, but it's with people that I don't know very well yet and people that I want to be friends with. So last night when I was laying in bed and I was like, that's coming up soon, I just started going through all of the conversations that might possibly come up between the different people that I know are going to be there, and all the ways that I might reply to them and all the responses that I might have and the stories that I might tell. And I was like a good bit into this when I was like, oh, I'm not being excited about the event coming up at this point, I'm scripting for it. Like, this is literally just scripting. Like, it's the definition of scripting. That's where for like most of my life, if I have an event coming up and I'm aware of some of the people that are going to be there, that's what I do. I start figuring out what I'm going to say to them and how I'll reply to different things and scripting what I'm going to say, because that's what I need to do. Otherwise I'm really overwhelmed and my brain stops working. I don't know what to say. And I've had the negative thing sometimes where I figured out what it is I want to say, but I've now rehearsed it in my head so many times that I don't know how to say it naturally. Like, it's not always a positive thing, but it is always an autistic thing. And it's one of those things that I thought everybody did because it's what I always did, you know. Like, as a little kid, if I knew that there was like a school disco coming up and my mum would organise a play date with someone, I'd be going through like what I'm going to say, what I'm going to, like the stories I'm going to tell, how I'll respond to different things they might ask me. It's just what I've always done. And it was like quite a big realisation last night that I was like, oh, I'm not just being excited about the event, I'm not just like looking forward to it, I'm literally scripting for it. My only way of looking forward to something is to try and use what little social imagination I have to script and get ready for it. Next one's one that I've mentioned on my channel before because it's one that throws me every time I meet someone that's like not got the same brand of autism, because anything that I do, there's a right way of doing it. Everything. There's a lot of stuff that I don't even think about it, you know, because it's just the right way of doing it. Why would I think about it? Because I know the right way of doing it. So the thing that really brought it to my attention was when I was having a shower with my ex at one point, and she was like, oh, I need to be quick, so I'm just gonna do it this way. And I was like, what? You need to be quick, so you're just conditioning your hair and then doing body wash? Like, it makes sense. Logically, I'm aware that like you've still cleaned yourself, you've done what you needed to. It makes complete sense that that's what you would do for a quick shower. I can't do that. I have to get in the shower, I have to like get everything wet, I have to shampoo my hair, rinse that out, condition my hair, wash my body while my hair is conditioning, rinse that out, wash my body again, and then that's my shower done. I cannot deviate from doing it that way. I haven't even been taught to do it that way, it's just the right way, it's just what I do, it's the right way of doing things. And I can't deviate from the routines and like the ways of doing things that I have formed. Even when I need to, even when it's like, well, I need a quick shower, I'll either skip the shower or just try to do every single action faster than I would usually to have a quick shower. It never once crossed my mind that I could cut out the bits I don't necessarily have to do, you know? Like that, it just never occurred to me. I never would have considered that. It absolutely baffled me. And it makes the most sense. It is the most logical thing to do. You need to be faster, so cut out the steps you don't need. I could not ever do that. And it absolutely blows my mind that people can and do. And like I say, it makes the most sense. Of course you do it that way. I can't. Now, I do want to include some like nicer, happier things in this one. And I also really fucking want to talk about Wicked. I've already been to see it twice. I've already got my third time to see it planned. I'm probably going to see it a fourth time just in cinema, maybe even a fifth. I fucking love it. And the thing with that, and the thing that ties it into my point that I'm about to make, is that finding out that other people aren't fully entirely immersed in the media that they're watching really weirds me out. it's one of those things that I always forget about every time. I always sort of think that it's like individual to the person that I'm talking to that I found it out about. But then like every now and again I realise that it is most people. Like it is very much an autistic trait that I am so fully immersed and lost in whatever it is I'm watching. And Wicked's made that really apparent to me, because I was really scared to go and see it, because I saw it for the first time when I was 16 in London, and then I saw it again when I was like 21, I think. Like, this has been a long time. Like, I love Wicked. I've read the books. I really, really fucking love the musical. And it's one of those things that because it wasn't accessible to me, I couldn't keep going to see it live. I sort of just put it away, you know? Like, it couldn't be a special interest because I didn't have the access to it. So I was like nervous for the film. And it's one of those things where I went in, I sat down and watched it, and I came back and I told Winter, like, it looked the way it did in my head. And they get it, Winter gets it, and that's one of the things I love about them. But to other people, I know they wouldn't, because, like, no, it doesn't. Like, the movie does not look exactly the same as the musical because they have sets, it's on a stage, they're moving sets. Like, it's just not, you can't make it look the way that it does in the movie. But it did, you know? Like, when I go and see something live, when I see something in theatre, when I watch something on TV or on my laptop, I'm there, I'm in it, like, it is happening for me. And like, it isn't, I'm aware that it's a suspension of belief and whatever, but I can immerse myself so fully and deeply and completely that like it's like I am there, you know, like especially with live stuff, because I know that it's probably going to be my one chance to get to see it. It's there and it's surrounding me and I'm within it, and it all looks so much more real and right, and like it's happening, you know, I'm getting to see this story play out in front of me and it's incredible. And then the actors are taking a bow and I'm like, oh shit, it's just some set that's like all the way over there, and it's weird because I was like right there in it a minute ago. And getting to go and see the Wicked movie, it's one of those where like obviously they've based it all around the sets and tried to make it look the way the musical does, but it looked the way it did in my head when I saw it live on stage. It was the way that I immersed myself in it, and getting to sit in the cinema and be fully immersed in it again in the exact way that it was for me as a kid. Oh, it was beautiful. And it's so sad to me that other people don't get to immerse themselves in media and within stories in that way, you know? Like, it really, like, all of the other people and the fact that I'm sat in a room, it all just falls away, and I'm getting to experience that story, and it's amazing, and it's the best thing in the world, and I fucking love it. And that is definitely one of the main reasons that like media and watching things is my special interest, because I get a full escapism. Like, it's just the best thing in the whole entire world. And every single time I speak to other people and realise that like they're just watching a film, they're not there, they're not in it, it's so weird to me. I don't get how you can just survey it like you're not in it. I don't get it. That's I don't work like that. And I've got a sort of little side point to that as well, because I was having a whole conversation with Winter. Conversations with people like prompt a lot of the things that I think about for videos, to be fair, but it's the thing of anything that I watch, I immediately have a character. Like, most of my favourite things are my favourite things because there's a character that I latch on to and I'm like, you are me. And like, they're not. They'll have like a whole bunch of things that are like different from me, but they're me. Like Alex Drake, me and Alex Drake are the same person. I am Alex Drake is me. Similarly with like Dana Scully, Arbed in Community is the big one. Like, if they are actively actually like me, like the way that fucking Arbed is so clearly autistic and adores Inspector Spacetime instead of Doctor Who. Like, Arbed freaked me out the first few times I watched Community because I was like, why is he like me? And then I got my autism diagnosis and realised that's why. But anything I watch, I will immediately be like, this is my character, this is me. Like, even though it's not and they're very different, that's the character that I've latched onto and I like hold in my heart, I'm holding space for. I love them. I just adore, like, anything that I watch will have one character and I'm like, that is the fucker, that is the one, they are mine. And when I've talked to like holistic people, they don't tend to do that. Like, there'll be the odd time where they do watch something where like obviously someone is very, very relatable to them and they're like, oh, that's me. Like, but it's not every single thing they watch, you know? Like, even if I'm watching something I'm not particularly enjoying, if I'm watching something because it's someone else's favourite movie or show or whatever, I'll still find that character, but I'm like, that's my bitch, that's me. And it might be a side character instead of a main character or whatever, but you know, like, they're always there. There's always the character that's me, that's mine, they're mine, it's me. And the conversation that we had as well, I think that's why, as someone who's always read a whole bunch of fan fiction, I've always been big into fan fiction. I've just never been interested in like OCs or like the Your Name types of fanfics, because I'm like, I don't want to be there. I don't need to be there. I've got my character, I've got my porn, I've got my little piece, you know? That's pawn, P-A-W-N, by the way, like a chessboard. But like, I've already got the person that I am. I don't need to put myself in there or make someone up to be me. Like, I've got them, they're mine. And that's definitely also where I get a lot of my autistic headcanons from, because I just latch onto a character and I'm like, she's me. And like, she ain't, but I've decided she is now. And that means that like there's 3 tiny little things that I read as autistic traits and I'm like, oh, we're like soulmates, we're connected, they're mine. Now, back to a slightly more serious one, is I have to perfectly position my clothing and my accessories and all that kind of thing. Like, when I put socks on, the toe line has to perfectly go across, like if this was my foot, the toe line has to be right here with these as my toes, you know? The heel has to be perfectly sat on the heel of my foot. The leg of it has to be straight. And similarly, if I'm wearing a necklace, if I'm wearing earrings, anything like that, like the clasp has to be at the back, the charm has to be at the front. Like, everything has to be sat in the way that it's supposed to be. And like, see, again, it's things where it's like, it's the right way, it's the way it's supposed to be. And like, so many things have like multiple ways that they can be. There's no like specific right way for lots of things, but for me there very much is. Like, I have, oh, here's a half decent example, if I don't throw it. I have this ring that I really enjoy because it's like a little alien, but I don't wear it all that often, because as I'm wearing it, obviously it'll like twist slightly around to the side, and if it's sitting like that, I can't deal with it. So I'm constantly touching this ring, making sure that it is centred on my finger. So I don't even wear it all that much because it has to be centred, it has to be sat right. Or like having the seams of my shoulders feel even on my shoulders and like they're sat in the same place. And like bits like that in the socks are sensory issues. That's to prevent sensory issues. Having it sat properly and having it feel like the way it's supposed to be means that I don't have a sensory issue with it. Other things like jewellery, or like when I used to wear bits in my hair and things like that, like, I can't feel those, you know? Like, with the ring, I'm constantly touching it to make sure that I'm recentering it, because I can't feel when it's not centred. So that's not a sensory issue. But it's a thing of like, I need things to be sitting properly. And it means that I don't wear like necklaces and bracelets and like accessories very often. Because especially with bracelets, once it starts like sliding up and down, no. But I also don't want one that's like tight to my wrist, because that doesn't look good. But I also can't deal with it sliding or moving. And again, that one's more of a sensory thing now that I think about it. But there's a good mix of things that are like straight up just sensory, it needs to feel right, and things where it's like I can't feel it, so I'm going to keep constantly touching it and making sure that it's sat right and looks right and feels right, even though I could just leave it and ignore it and it wouldn't matter because I can't feel it. Like, it's a good part of why I stopped wearing earrings, because I always liked wearing like really small little gold hoops, and I would just constantly be like pulling them downwards a little bit to make sure they were like actually sitting like perfectly horizontal, perpendicular, perfectly straight down, you know? And like, I've definitely like slightly torn my fucking earlobes from doing that, because it was, you know, like every 20 minutes I'm touching them and pulling them down a little bit to make sure they're falling properly. It's just, and again, I couldn't feel that. If it was a little bit like wobbly or wonky or whatever, it really didn't matter. I couldn't feel it. No one's got to say anything, because that's just how earrings are sometimes. But I needed it to be right. And the final one's like a little bit of an afterthought. It's not like the biggest thing in the world, and I do think it's sort of like a lot of things when it comes to like autistic traits are very personal and personalised, and a lot of people might not relate. But I want to throw it in at the end here just to like see if other people do relate, because I have the issue of when I'm, you know, when you're seeing someone a lot, or like you're just around somebody quite a lot, they'll start sending messages, or you start sending messages where there just isn't that much of a response to be had, you know? It'll be like a really small request, or like, oh, grab this on your way, things like that. And I just react to it, because like, otherwise we're going to have a chat log that is just consistently, oh, could you do this? Yeah, no problem. Oh, could you do this? Yeah, no problem. And I feel weird saying, yeah, no problem, yes, no, don't worry about it, anything like that. I get really anxious about it, and I don't know like how to phrase it, what to say, how to word it. It just makes me really anxious, and it becomes a whole thing for me, even though I know it doesn't need to be. So I really like that when, like, this is kind of showing how old I am, because I remember when we went from texting to like Facebook Messenger, and then there was like some sort of update, or maybe when Instagram came around, and suddenly you could react to messages instead of having to reply to every single one. Being able to just give a little heart or a little thumbs up. I love that. I adore it. I do that all the time, because I just have so many messages that I don't know what I'm supposed to say to. And it's the type of thing that I can see that I do perhaps a little bit more often than a lot of other people. But I also feel like most people do it. But I've been made to feel like it was really weird and like rude and mean of me to be doing that, you know? But I feel like that's what people do. Like, so many messages, there just isn't really that much to say anything to, so it is easier to just give a little heart or a little thumbs up or whatever. But that was a whole thing for me a little while ago, so I want to throw that in at the end here. But yeah, that's the end. That's where we're finishing. That's where we're done. As always, if you have anything that you wanted to like see in this video, anything you want to add, anything you want to see of other people relate, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. If you wanted to like this video, that helps me out in the algorithm. And if you wanted to subscribe, I post videos pretty similar to this one on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, so that's 3 times a week. If you want to see even more from me, you can also follow me over on Instagram or TikTok, and I'll link those both down below. I also have a Ko-fi and a Patreon page, so if you wanted to support me financially via those, you can do, but there's never any pressure, you don't have to, it's all groovy. I don't really say groovy very often, I felt a bit weird about that. But whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. I don't know what that massive bang was. I'm going to go now. Have a nice day.